Welcome back to the Missing Maura Murray podcast. How are you tonight, Lance?
Tim, I'm really good. How are you?
Doing well. We've got a pretty cool interview, or I guess conversation, for this episode. What do you think about this one?
It just kind of came out of the blue, and it's very cool. It's a good partner to have in what we're trying to do here.
Yes, and so we have Nancy Grace on for this episode. It's about a half an hour conversation with Nancy. She is familiar with the Murray case. She did cover it at times in the past, although we don't talk about it too much in this episode, so I don't want to get your hopes up for that. But what we do talk about is it's really more of a conversation about media and crime and the way crime is handled with social media and things like that in today's crime landscape.
To be honest, it was fun. She's a fun person. She's smart, incredibly funny, and probably could have talked for a lot longer. And I have a feeling that we're going to talk to her for a lot longer in the future.
Yeah, well, she's going to be at CrimeCon in Indianapolis in June, as are we. So if you are interested in going to CrimeCon, please go to crimecon.com and register and use promo code MMPOD20 for 20% off. That's MMPOD20 for 20% off. Lance and I are going to be there, as well as James Renner. We're going to talk about the case a bit. And Nancy Grace will be there, and a lot of other podcasters. Obviously, you listen to podcasts if you're listening to this. Chances are you listen to other podcasters that are also going to be there.
And among the other podcasts that will be joining us, we have Generation Y, and we have the Vanish podcast. That's just a couple of the many that will be there.
Cool. So check that out. I think you guys would really enjoy CrimeCon. And also, after this interview with Nancy, we will be back with more Missing Maura Murray, but the next two episodes, we will be talking about the Brianna Maitland case. It is our entry into that realm, and we'll see where it goes from there. But after those first two episodes, we will be back with regularly scheduled Maura Murray coverage.
And don't forget to check out this week's menu over at Blue Apron. Get your first 3 meals for free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/missing.
Nancy, could you please tell us about your new project?
Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me on. I'm very excited about the new project. As you know, I have been in crime busting for a really long time now, and it is born out of the murder of my fiancé, Keith, shortly before our wedding many years ago. I feel that this new venture, crimeonline.com, and our podcast, which is Crime Story, takes the next step, particularly with crime online. And I'll tell you why. I had my show on CNN's HLN for 12 years. And before that, I was at Court TV. You know, crime is 24/7, 365. It doesn't take a break. On HLN, my show ran at 8 p.m. Eastern, and it repeated at 2 a.m. Guess what? There's 22 hours in the day left where crime's going down. And I noticed in the past years, the past couple of years, 2 to 3 years before I left HLN, that the crimes we were busting were more related to people on my Facebook and Twitter.
Oh, no kidding.
Versus the show. Yeah. And at first I didn't really make a correlation, and I didn't think a lot of it. I was just happy, that someone would have cited a missing child or call in information. I was just happy for that. But then I started thinking about it and realized that most of the valid, legitimate tips we were getting were from Facebook and Twitter. I mean, what about that, guys?
Yeah, that's something that we've noticed as well. And with the medium of podcasting as a way to raise awareness and for the crime out there, do you think that that's going to enhance the Twitter and the Facebook leads? Do you think that that's a good medium as far as
my stars, yes, I do. Don't you agree? Because
Yes.
I love listening to you guys' podcast. It's so, I feel like I'm part of not just a TV presentation where I throw the sound and then I put up this sketch, and it's more of a theatrical production on podcasts and on crimeonline.com. You're really getting down to it, and it's more, I get more information, I feel. And I also feel like I'm part of a conversation. I like it.
Yeah, it does feel a little bit more like you're telling a story. And I think that engages your audience a little bit more than, say, reading an article in the newspaper or watching something on TV. It really feels like you're part of it.
Or fighting with a defense lawyer. Is that what you wanted to say?
That's what I was getting at.
or screaming at a defense attorney?
Heated conversation, however you want to say
Yeah, that's a nice way to put it. That's certainly putting perfume on the pig. A heated a lively discussion.
Right, exactly. Lively discussion.
So I'm very, very excited. And the Crime Online website aspect of it, it has 800 numbers to call if you have information, tip lines, helplines, missing child websites. It's got the very latest of what's happening, plus a whole section on cold cases.
Oh, very good.
I'm all about cold cases, you know that.
Yep.
So I'm just we're into teacher scandals, we're into family crime, we're into breaking crime, cold cases, mug shots, tip lines, rewards, most wanted, sex offender registry maps, the works, soup to nuts, people, head to toe.
So why do you feel like...
What are you laughing at? It's not funny.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know where that came from. Go ahead.
We're sorry.
That's just one I had to pull out sometimes if I couldn't really start a legitimate argument on the air. I was just waiting to catch somebody smiling. It's not funny.
I can't tell you how much sweat just broke out on me right there.
But you know what? You would laugh so hard if you could see me with my twins. It's the complete opposite.
Oh, I bet.
They're like, can we stay up till 10 o'clock and finish this movie? I'm like, sure, why not? You only live once. Let's have some ice cream while we're at it with chocolate sauce. It's the complete opposite.
So why do you think that that a lot of tips come in through Twitter and Facebook and other forms of social media?
Honestly, because it's easy. I think it's easy. I mean, how, of course, it can get you in trouble, too, but how quick is it to shoot off an email or a text? And sometimes you say the wrong thing, or you say it incorrectly, or you don't spell check, or it doesn't come across the way you meant it to because it's so fast and easy. You just write it and send it off, and you go, Mm-hmm. It's easy. It's at the tip of your fingers. And it's just a whole new way of looking and thinking and reacting. I mean, okay, I'm going to just ask you an honest question. Dare you answer? How many times, just say in the last 2 months, have you sat down and watched the 6 o'clock news, the world news, as they call it?
Zero.
I haven't. Zero.
Yeah.
Zero. I get up in the morning. I get up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy. Okay. Thank you, Kesha. Actually, I get up in the morning, make some hot tea, and I read. I read online. Yeah, I don't know where that came from either. And I read online. Keep everything super quiet so the twins can keep sleeping. This is like 5 a.m. Get everything ready. Read. I don't even turn on the TV. I get everything off my iPad.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously. And and then when we watch, if we're watching something specific, we will. I'll my husband flicks the TV on in the morning and keeps it on super low, but nobody's really watching it. We don't get our news there. People are getting their news from their mobile devices, maybe from their desktops, maybe from their iPhones. That's where it's all coming from. And that's why those responses and tips are coming from iPads, iPhones, cell phones. That's what's happening.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's all on demand now. People don't want to wait around.
Because you
And
don't
why
have
should
to.
they?
Yep.
I can imagine that you must have a team of people who sift through all of the negative trolling that would happen. Do you think that's something, as far as the medium of podcasting? Do you think that's something that is getting could get to the point of distraction?
What are you talking about? Are you trying to say somebody's going to say something negative about moi? Really? I had never noticed that. Do you think that's going to, are you asking me, is that going to distract us?
Yeah.
People taking pot shots? No.
Cool. Okay.
If that were true, I'd be hiding under the bed right now. I mean, really.
Yeah.
And I think about it. It's so much easier to say something negative, It's just so easy. Look at her. Look at that. What are they? It's just so easy. It's just, that saying that it takes more muscles to frown than to smile?
Right.
Oh, wait, how does it go? I can't even remember. But the same thing is, it's just so easy to take pot shots at people.
I think my question was mostly just to hear what your advice was, because when Tim and I started this, we got bombarded. So I think my question was more like, I wonder what Nancy Grace does when she gets hit with negative trolling.
Sometimes it is hurtful, but does that mean I'm not going to do it? No. I've been to too many murder scenes. I've been in too many autopsies. My life was destroyed by gun violence. And because some person that I don't know, who lives somewhere I've never been, who is, they are going to let me stop what I'm doing? No. I will continue on. Does it hurt? Yes, it hurts. Of course it hurts. Once in a while, I actually learn something. If I dare to look, once in a while I learn something I could do better or differently. And I really do try. But mostly I think it's hateful, and I don't like it, so I try to stay away from it. Like my grandmother said, so you invite the devil into tea, you think he's not going to try to have dinner and spend the night? So, that's the thing. If you entertain all the hate, pretty soon it takes over, and that's what you think about. Luckily, I've got something stronger than that. I have the memory of Keith.
Right.
So that overshadows all the haters.
Lance, how have your dinners been lately?
My dinners have really been elevated to a new level, I'm going to be honest.
Why is that?
Because of the fresh ingredients that I get in the mail, individually packaged in their own box. Are you aware of what I'm speaking?
I think you might be referring to this magical company that delivers food to your door in a box, and you make it and you cook it yourself.
You're partially correct, other than the magical part, because magic is fake, and I'll tell you Blue Apron is real. They do deliver 3 meals in a box to your door.
Well, make no mistake about it, Blue Apron is the Harry Houdini of food delivery companies for sure. The freshness is off the charts, but also the combination of meals, the flavors are just out of control. Pork chops and garlic piccata with scallion rice and spinach? Come on.
That one I'm looking forward to. I gotta tell you, I made the guacamole burgers with roasted red onion and sweet potatoes the other day. I tweeted a picture of this. Got a lot of likes. I think a lot of people are jealous. That is a solid meal. You get 2 burgers out of that. That is a solid meal.
That's phenomenal. My favorite thing about Blue Apron, though, is cooking together. I just think it's so fun to be in the kitchen cooking together. It really builds strong family bonds, and research shows that Blue Apron's families cook nearly 3 times more often.
I actually met somebody and proposed marriage just to cook Blue Apron with her. And yeah, hopefully it's going to work out.
And she said yes?
It's TBD. We're going to cook a couple meals first, see what happens.
Oh, I see. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Well, check out this week's menu. Mushroom and chipotle pepper enchiladas with lime sour cream. You will love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron, so don't wait.
That's blueapron.com/missing. Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
Now, I know Facebook is a little different because it's a little less anonymous than, say, Twitter or Reddit. But in your experiences, how have the anonymity of Twitter and Reddit sort of hurt any tips that have come in? Or, like, how do you think law enforcement can handle that moving forward? Any kind of threats from anonymous sites like that?
Well, I think that anonymity makes it more difficult for police to, say, follow up on a tip. And, of course, so much can be tracked now, with your IP provider. It's a digital fingerprint. But I think that when it comes to following up on tips, say, on a missing child or a homicide, the anonymity degree makes it more difficult to follow up on it. Now, yes, they can go investigate that tip. For instance, a kid goes missing, and a neighbor says, DFACS, Department of Family and Children's Services, has been at that house 10 times. Those kids were always in the street. They were hungry. They were mistreated. They had bruises. What if that you can't trace the tip? You can't go question the person to determine their veracity, their truthfulness. You can't really, but what you can do is you can go and try to corroborate it. I mean, it's something to go on. So I think that the anonymity hurts, but it also helps in the sense that people are more willing to give tips and come forward if they can't be traced or called into court.
Right. How do you think the media coverage of Maura Murray's case would have been different if it happened today instead of 2004?
I think that there would probably have been more tips. I think that there would have been more conversation. I think a lot of things, it was like a perfect storm in the Maura Murray case, because the fact that negative things came out about her, for instance, the whole stolen credit card to order food thing, that was 3 months before her disappearance. Mm-hmm. Now, in my world, using a stolen credit card to buy food, by the way, was what it was for.
Right.
As opposed to, buying drugs or alcohol or taking a luxury trip. It was to order food. Okay. She had that dismissed on good behavior. When people hear things like that, that makes them care less about the victim. When they hear about her going to a party and getting back around 1:20 a.m., that makes some people think, oh, well, she asked for it, right? She's out at 1:20 a.m. See, I disagree with that thinking. Then you have her looking around on MapQuest for directions to the Berkshires, and then calling about renting a condominium, and then crashing the car. Now, let's look at the timeline there. She crashes a car, and she had packed clothing and toiletries, textbooks, and birth control pills. Okay, so that makes people think, oh, she's a tramp because she's on the pill. That's so not true. That is not true. In fact, on my HLN show, I would go with a guest here and say, one of you says one thing about birth control pills, don't even. Because there's still a stigma attached to that. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. But, that brings back a memory you might like. When I first started prosecuting in inner city Atlanta, when the assembly was in session, the Georgia Assembly, I was sent, along with some veterans, to do anti-crime lobbying. And I remember helping to write, crouched down out in the hall, the rape shield law, where a rape victim's past, like how many men she had slept with, had she ever had an abortion, blah, blah, blah. That is irrelevant in a court of law. And I remember arguing that a rape victim's use of birth control pills was irrelevant to whether she had been raped. Defense attorneys would actually try to bring that into evidence. Jeez. I mean, how wrong is that? So my point is, when viewers or listeners hear facts like that, some of them turn against the victim, But if anybody looks in the mirror, they'll see plenty of stuff wrong with themselves, right? So I think that a lot of things combined, but all of those social issues aside, which are irrelevant in law, look at what happened. She has a crash. She crashes on the side of the road. Somebody stops and asks to help. She says, no, I've already called AAA, although AAA has no record of a call like that. Shortly thereafter, within half an hour, the police are there, and she's gone. Now, what does that say? Did she wreck the car on purpose? I think a lot of these questions still hang in the air, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've been saying for a long time, well, we've been saying for a long time that her past really doesn't matter. There's been years of digging up her past and her family's past that really don't matter when you look at the accident site and you look at the 15, 16 minutes, 17 minutes from when the accident happened and when the first responders arrived. That's what we really have to be looking at, and that's really what we have to be digging into.
And then you have the police dog who tracked her scent. It's off a glove, as I recall, about 100 yards away from where her car was found. Now, see, that suggests to me that she may have been taken, but she clearly, did she set off on foot?
Well, up in that area, it'd be really tough to exit that scene on foot without any trace of your footprints going into the woods. You really would have to be on the road. And Butch Atwood, the bus driver, did see other cars passing by. He said he saw several cars passing by. He didn't see the accident from his house, but he saw several cars passing by. And none of them stopped. And no one came forward to say that in that immediate area, they saw a young lady on foot on the road. They didn't find any tracks going into the woods.
I see no reason why she would have left on foot, and I'll tell you why. There are witnesses that state her car, of course, was pointed west on the eastbound side of the road. Now, remember the neighbor that was a school bus driver noticed her, and she was not bleeding, but he said she was cold and shivering. He asked her if he needed to call for help. She said, don't call police, and she had already called AAA. If she wanted a ride, she could have gotten a ride with him. So why would she set off on foot in the cold?
Exactly. And that's why when we're looking at the case, it's from 7:25 to about 7:40 that we're looking at. And it has to really, like you said it, it really was a perfect storm of everybody looking and everybody looking away kind of all at the same time. She almost literally disappeared at the precise moment that she should have disappeared and have no trace of her going on 13 years. There's not a lot of window right there. The neighbor, Faith Westman, made the phone call. She never says on the phone to police that there was a bus that had pulled up, because Butch Atwood, the bus driver, the neighbor, he's driving his bus. It was never stated in the dispatch logs from Faith Westman's call. Oh, there's a bus there. You think she might have said something about that? I don't know. Maybe she didn't, but it would block the scene. She claims that there was a flurry of activity at the trunk. So she's describing a scene to the dispatch, and then there's nothing. And that's that time where she's gone. Something happened.
Well, there's the other issue that he says she assured him she had called AAA, but AAA has no record of a call.
And there's no cell phone service up there today. You can go up there today and you can't get service.
So why would she have said that? He knew, I believe, that there was no cell phone reception there. Anyway, he goes home and calls police. Now, interesting, a lot of people question the bus driver as being one of the last people to see or talk to her, but he called police. In my experience, anyone involved in a crime is not going to call police, even if to cover their own tracks. You might say something to a coworker or a friend or a family member to cover your tracks, but you don't call police. He called police. I find that indicative of his veracity. I think that he was telling the truth about what he saw.
I also think, based on the news articles written, that he felt extremely guilty afterward.
You know, another issue, all the stuff in her car. If this were all a big ruse for her to run away or disappear, why didn't she take it? Why didn't she take any of that stuff? I mean, clearly she was planning to go away and maybe be on a vacation, but to pack everything, to go somewhere and then leave it all behind, I don't buy that.
And the items that she did take were immediate items, like her purse, her cell phone, her wallet,
Keys.
the keys. Yep, lock the car. It's something as if, what do I need immediately? That's what I'm going to take.
That's what's
Credit
on my
cards,
person. Credit card, yeah.
Credit
wallet,
cards,
yep.
debit card, cell phone, and none of that has ever been located or, importantly, used.
Exactly, correct.
How do you feel about the Murray family and their reaction to this? And I know every family is different, but you've worked with a lot and you've seen a lot of cases. And do you think their behavior is odd after their daughter went missing?
In what sense?
Well, I don't know. Some people say that they're secretive or they know more than they say they do, and it's not something we necessarily believe at all. But
I mean, isn't it true that by 8:00, Feb 11, her father arrived before dawn and started searching? I mean, the family started searching. Yeah. Early in the morning, along with Fish and Game, as I recall it. I mean, they were out there searching, and the boyfriend and his parents arrived. He was interrogated. His parents were questioned. I mean, right there, if you're part of it, now some people will seemingly go along with police to look innocent, but they questioned him. He went along with it. He didn't lawyer up.
Back to sort of social media and crime a little bit and that relationship. That horrible story that broke in the last few days about those teens in Chicago Facebook living some abuse. I guess it's sort of my question's sort of about that. Like, how has social media changed the landscape of crime in a negative way? I know we kind of talked about it in a positive way earlier.
Well, you say tomato, I say tomato. I think it helps because if they had done this without Facebook Live, we wouldn't know about it.
That's a great point. They were going to do it regardless.
If they're so darn stupid as to put it on Facebook, good. State's Exhibit number 1. I mean, the crime is going to happen. Do I like it? No. Do I accept it? Yes. Right. Crime will happen. And if they are stupid enough to Facebook Live it, or to post it, or to tweet it, I couldn't be happier. Now, the aspect of them doing it just to get attention, like purposefully torturing the guy in order to put it on Facebook Live, in order to get notoriety or attention, in that way, it's bad. Social media is bad for crime, but I really believe that if you're going to do a crime like that, you're going to do it whether you're going to post it or not. The fact that you can stream it doesn't change who you are. I mean, for instance, okay, you're walking through Central Park and a bunny crosses your path. Is your instinct to club it over the head or to watch it go by? I mean, my instinct would be, oh, look, there's a bunny. Twins, look. My instinct would not be to chase it down and club it and take it home and eat it that night. No. It's just your makeup. It's your DNA. It's who you are, either by nature or nurture. Their instinct is to be brutality. Now, is that going to change because they've got Facebook Live? No. It's who they are. Luckily, they Facebook Lived it.
What an interesting way to look at that, because most people are reading about that and watching that story and saying that it's brutal and look at the social media element that's involved. But when you're dealing with that kind of personality, like you're saying, like a psychopath, they want that, they want the attention, and they're literally painting themselves into a corner by using that for the attention purpose.
It's an interesting way to look at it.
I couldn't be happier.
Exactly.
I could not be happier. My only problem is it's going to taint the jury.
Oh, that's a good point, yeah.
But you know what? The thing is, it's not anything that won't be introduced at trial. So, at trial, when you're striking a jury, it's not, did you see this on the Daily Mail? Did you see this? That's not the question. Well, correction, that is the question. But the follow-up question is, even though you've seen this, can you still keep an open mind and make your decision based on what you hear in a court of law? Everybody will have seen it, but you will find a jury that will state that they can put that out of their mind and base their decision solely on what they hear in court. That's the question.
Shifting gears a little bit, you're going to CrimeCon, right?
You know it.
Nice. We are too.
I'm already camped out there. Where do you think I'm calling from? That little tent. That's me outside under the tarp.
Oh, right. I saw you on Facebook Live.
Yes, I'm going.
Well, that's going to be fun. Yeah, we will see you there, too. What do you have planned for CrimeCon?
Anger, resentment, my search for justice, bewilderment. You know who else is going? There is a director of a cold case institute named Cheryl McCullum, and she's going. I used to have her on my show quite a bit, and she will be a contributor. She was also the president of Mothers Against Drunk Driving Georgia.
Oh, wow.
She and I go back so far. When I was first a prosecutor, she was a victim's advocate. And I remember one of the first times I met her, by far not the first, we had this awesome idea that we would give. I was also volunteering at the Battered Women's Clinic at night. And we thought we were so cool because we got some money from somewhere, which was hard to do, to give battered women a cell phone, which was brand new and was not common. I guess this was in the late 80s. They were as big as a transistor radio. They were huge, and we would give them to the battered women to call if they had an emergency. I remember holding that thing up and going, "Look, everybody!" It looked like I was holding up a cement block.
Right.
I remember Cheryl and I thinking, "Oh, this is so great." I mean, I guess you have to lug it around in a wagon behind you to use it, but
yeah.
I remember that moment with Cheryl. Yeah.
She sounds amazing.
She sounds amazing. I'd like to meet her.
Oh, the good times.
Cool. Well, yeah, thank you very much. This has been...
Are you actually trying to rap me? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well,
I mean, it's so
No, I'll
obvious.
keep going.
Can't you think of a nice way to do it, for Pete's sake? I mean, I'm just going to go drown myself in my Irish breakfast tea.
That was Tim, by the way. I didn't want to rap you. That was Tim.
No, that was
Rude.
Lance. Lance, that was him.
I'm going to cut your mic. Oh, it's not my show. Sorry. Guys, thank you. I will see you at CrimeCon, but before then, I'll see you on crimeonline.com.
And your podcast is Crime Story, right?
Crime Stories with Nancy Grace.
That's great.
Please come on as my guest. Let's talk about Maura some more.
Oh,
Yeah.
We barely touched the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Well, you were trying to lure me into trashing her family, but that ain't gonna happen, baby doll. Not happening.
Well, I definitely was not trying to lure Nancy into bad-mouthing the Murray family. But thank you very much, Nancy Grace, for joining us on the podcast. It was a pleasure to have you on, and it's such a fun conversation. Check out links to her show in our show notes. Thank you very much for listening, everybody. We'll be back next week with more. Go to blueapron.com/missing to get your first 3 meals free with free shipping.